Patrick Beverley has been suspended 4 games without pay by the NBA for throwing a basketball at fans and interaction with an ESPN reporter after Game 6 of their first-round series against the Pacers. In the final minutes of that Bucks loss, which closed out the series, Beverley was seen throwing a ball towards Pacers fans and hitting a woman in the head. Beverley then waved at a different fan to throw the ball back to him, which he did. And then Beverley whipped the ball right back at him hard. Beverley said on his podcast, "What I did was bad, and that should have never happened, regardless of what was said. I've been called a lot of stuff in this league. I haven't been called that one. Still inexcusable. It doesn't matter what was said." Keyshawn, you okay with Pat Bev getting 4 games?
I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm not, but I don't know the policy of the NBA when stuff like this happens. And when you talk about the 4 games, let's assume those 4 games at the beginning of the season, because that's probably when they are.
Yeah.
It's not like they're all of a sudden getting ready to pick in the middle of the year. Hey, you're out. No. So you get 4 games in the start of an 82-game season. I mean, like, come on. Seriously? Seriously? You look, man.
So you would have gone 6 or 8?
I don't know what, I don't know what the number would be, but it ain't 4.
Okay.
Okay? And I take stuff like this very serious because I'm always a what-if guy. I'm what if. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's in the streets of Los Angeles or the streets of Milwaukee, or New York City, Chicago, what if you look at it that way? Now, I look at the young lady in the stands that get hits with the laser. What if? Right? Yep. And I understand wrapped in this is a history of his antics. There's a history there. And then the way he treated the reporter.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'm sensitive to reporters being treated a certain way. But that's minimum compared to him firing a basketball in the stands. Reporters have been disrespected in locker rooms. You've been there. Disrespected in locker rooms because you ask a question that nobody wants to answer after a tough loss. Sometimes you catch it.
I know.
Sometimes you catch it.
I have.
But when I'm a fan sitting in the stands at the back row and I ain't really saying nothing, I'm just sitting there because I don't think she was the one barking at him.
I don't think so.
Because if he heard that from up there, and if she, you really good to aim, you should go play baseball. If you can aim directly at the person that said whatever it is to you sitting what, Paul? I mean, think about it. In the back row, you hear somebody say something with a basketball.
How we know it wasn't her that said something?
No, I'm not saying it wasn't. All I'm saying is really hard to identify somebody from that distance and then be able to have the accuracy with a basketball to just fire it and hit her right in the head. The what-if factor falls in. What if he was sitting next? What if that was Paul Pierce's wife, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, sitting next to him? You don't think Paul would have went, or me, or something?
Or you.
That's the what if.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying. So I don't know what the fine or the suspension should have been, but it shouldn't have been 4 games. That's for damn sure.
Well, it looked like each time he threw it, it was 2 games. So for the first one, it was 2, and then the second one, 2 more. I actually thought it'd be a little stiffer, but I don't know what was said. But whatever was said, just any altercations between fans and players, I take that serious because we all know what happened years ago with the Malice at the Palace. He didn't punch anybody, but altercations with the fans and the players is unacceptable because I know when fans say certain things to players, they get escorted out the arena. And sometimes a lifetime ban. Pat has a history of this, though. This is not the first time.
Yeah.
And since he's had a history of it, it's not only going to be 4 games, Key. It's going to be some money out of his pocket, of course. If he signs for the league minimum, it's going to cost him $90,000. So you see here in the Clippers, he did it to a fan right here in the stands. So he has a history of it.
That's not Bronson. It
looked like him, huh? It looks like
The airline guy. What's he called? Virgin Atlantic? That's not him, is it?
No.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it looks like him, no?
But he has a history of it, and I thought it'd be a little stiffer penalty, but because if he signs, this is the thing, he signs for the league minimum, it's only going to cost him $90,000.
No, it ain't.
You know,
because I'm gonna go get some. If I'm her, I'm gonna go get some.
But it can cost him a lot more.
I'm gonna go get some.
I did think it was a light penalty, but you know, I don't know what the rules are on how you fine. You know, it just comes and goes. They do it as they go.
There's nothing that can be said, and I've said this to Skip many times, and I'll say it to you, Paul. There's nothing that can be said to me except one word, and it starts with an N. That will make me want to go and put hands on you.
Maybe that was said. He said,
the only thing.
I've been called a lot of things in an NBA game, but not this. So I don't know what was said there. So maybe it is justified, the penalty of 4 games.
His quotes didn't come across that it was that word.
It's usually when it's that, though, Paul. Usually when it's that, we going to tell you it's that.
Yeah.
We're not going to hide it.
Right.
We're going to let you know. The reason I did that is because I was disrespected about my nationality and who I am by somebody that's sitting in the stands.
Right.
That's the only... I give him an excuse to do exactly what he did if that was the word. Anything short of that, I can't... I'm sorry, I just can't. Can't vouch for it.
All right.
But to me, if you heard that word, you're not just using the basketball. You're going after.
Oh, 100%.
Right? You're
I'm
going up after. You're going up.
1,000%.
Yeah, right,
you're going to get your ass whooped.
Yes.
Period.
Got you. I don't know, but it didn't come across that word got said. But something to Pat Bev's ear that he'd not heard before. I don't know how personal. It was something maybe kind of below the belt personal, where it's just it was out of bounds personal. I don't know. But then he says in his quotes on his podcast, but whatever it was, it's still not acceptable.
No, not at all.
All right. So to Paul's point, both your point, but he just has such a history of this that the commissioner is finally just saying, I got to go here. I got to at least go 4 on this one.
Yeah.
Because what he did to Chris Paul at the end of that closeout game out here at Staples, going back, was it 3 years ago?
No, he pushed him down
he
from behind.
got a running start.
No, I remember.
Chris Paul had the game of his life against the, who were they playing? They shot him out of the gym.
Was it Minnesota? Was he on Minnesota?
No, I can't remember. Now I went back.
He's been on so many teams.
They were playing the Clippers. That's what it was.
Yeah, but Pat Bev been on so many teams, we forgot our count, our head count.
Yeah, Chris was still with the Clippers. That's what it was.
Right.
But the point was, Chris could not miss in the second half. I'd never seen anything like it before. And he scored like 25 points.
Yeah, that's what Chris was on Phoenix.
Yeah, he was on Phoenix. That's what it was.
Chris was on Phoenix and Bev was on the Clippers.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
And Pat gets a running start at the end of the game. The game's completely decided.
The series is over.
And it's 5 minutes left in the game. And Chris is just innocently walking back to his huddle, to his bench. And Pat gets a running start and just shoves him down. And you were talking about dangerous?
And that's when Chris Paul's brother came out the stands, right?
I don't think he came out the stands, no.
Okay.
But he just has a history, Skip.
I thought he got into it with some Westbrook brother. That's what he got into it with.
This is a territory you come in, Skip, and Key, that like as a veteran player who's been around the block, who has all these type of incidents, this is the type of territory you get into where teams might not sign you as you get older. They don't want to deal with your stuff.
The antics and stuff.
With your antics and stuff. And so hopefully that's not the case. At least he actually came out and apologized, unlike Jamal Murray, for what his incident was.
True. Yeah.
And he recognized that he was in the wrong.
Yeah, but Jamal has no track record whatsoever.
Yeah,
that was a first, and he couldn't own it because it just...
Look, Pat Bev can play on my team any given day.
I hear you.
I would play with him all day long because of his edge that he has, and you need edgy guys. The same thing with Draymond Green, same thing with Ron Artest, Dennis Rodman, you name them. You need that on the team. Paul had KG, was edgy, but KG, he just was a edgy dude, didn't put up with certain things. That, though, to me, is so egregious. I don't like seeing it because, much to what Paul just said, as an older player, you're now messing with your money.
Right.
By doing something that's for whatever triggered you, whatever it was, you messing with your money. Now these teams are looking at you. Even your own team is sitting there saying, oh, do we really want to deal with this? And now you got to deal with that. After you fought so hard to get into the NBA and sustain yourself as a player.
He had a long, hard road.
Yeah.
And
road, maybe some of that he's still carrying with him.
He played in Russia and China and played all over.
And maybe some of that is he's still carrying with him. You know what I'm saying? That edge.
Yeah.
I just, I hate to see something like this because this is just one part of it, the NBA suspension. In follow-up days from now, I get almost I've seen this happen many a time.
I agree.
To a point where, where were they at? Indiana? Oh, no. Where was the game at?
In Indiana.
Indiana, they'll be getting a letter from her attorney, the stadium, the team, and he'll also be getting a